Good morning. Alright, I am here to share curriculum we are using, have used for 2017. And yes, it is late in the year, but some of you all know that we had a move earlier this year, and I'm kind of behind getting this out. What I have been doing is, throughout the vlogs and the videos, I have been sharing snippets of what the kids are doing just to keep you all in the loop, and I have gotten questions. I have not been avoiding the questions as far as what we're using in long term, but I've kind of kept it under wraps until now. I had to actually get a chance to lay everything out and just share. So no more corners of books and just, pages. I'm getting ready to share what we have been doing thus far. Because we year-round school, I kind of turn over things January, and we go from there. So some of these things have already been completed, and you all can ask questions. I will get into reviews and things like that. Right now I'm just going to show you what we're using. I'm not going to go into any kind of detail at all. Some of the things are the same. There may be a few changes, and I'll briefly explain that. And I know I did do a video sometime last year why I'm not buying any curriculum. I still took my same stance. I did say in that video, math would be the only thing, because I did not have math above the grade that they just finished, and math is a lateral move. So that's it. But I know I have a lot of new subscribers and viewers, so this will kind of fill in gaps for them. Alright, so I guess I will start with African American history. We are using the following resources. This is for my littles, elementary students. However, African American history also extends to my high school students. So there's that. Excuse me. If you follow me for any length of time, you know Hooked on Phonics is my go-to choice for reading. Now, my goal for this year was to get everybody reading, because that really helps me out with just having the 4 littles. Reading is tremendous. If I have to go through and read everything and help, side by side, that really is time consuming. Not that I'm complaining, but to get everybody reading, that really saves some time. And so, yes, we are still using Hooked on Phonics. This is the original cassette version. I have done a thorough review on it. And earlier this year, I shared the McGuffey Eclectic Reader, the entire set. And so here's that. Pick this up now. I have Alpha Phonics here. There's something special. I'm going to go and share. I have a whole series on reading coming up, because I see that that is a big ticket this year, or not even this year. It's just been something that's been going on. I hear a lot of my child is struggling and this, that, and the other, and just different programs There are a couple different major programs I see everybody using. Some have been abandoned. Some have left the children in tears, as well as the parent in tears. And I have I've been researching that for pretty much this whole year, and have come up with a lot of conclusions that will really help with that. But there's something about this and this. This is modeled after this. So above all, I recommend Hooked on Phonics. But there's something I'm doing with this one. Not that it's my first choice, but there's something I'm doing with it. Reading, you all know I use reading textbooks. It's because the content in the books are diverse. The stories are very diverse culturally, and they work. It just keeps them on track. They are leveled, and it takes the guesswork out of what I have to do as far as reading. So this one is my 3-year-old's, and yeah, here's her practice book, teacher's edition down here. And I shared this last year because I found the entire, it's a 6-book set with the teacher's editions and the workbooks for $1. $1. I shared that entire series. So that is what we're using for the reading, along with the Scott Forsman reading. I also have all of the workbooks for this. Now the thing I like about these are the kids have learned, mainly my twins. They'll be 7 in 2 weeks, but spelling, reading, grammar, a lot of that comes from here. And we didn't start out with language arts. We started out with reading, because all of that, the verbs, the pronouns, all of that is in here. And the books are designed to use over the course of the year. There are 6 of them. I slowed down the pace. This book is actually the last book, and I slowed down the pace because they are reading above this level. But because of the content in the book, and also the writing, it's very important that they know how to write. But it's also going through some more grammar and mechanics and things like that. So we have just come full circle with this. And my 5-year-old is somewhere towards the beginning of the year in the series, because we are still working on her writing. Not that she can't read it, but I also need her to be able to write. And same thing with the 3-year-old and hers. She's just now starting to write, so she's not fully using the workbook yet, but she is reading. So just because there is a grade level on these books does not mean you have to use them according to grade. It is a guide. Alright, so language arts. Let me move on to language arts. Reading, language arts go hand in hand. After they learn how to phonics, read, all of that good stuff, you move on to the language arts portion. Language arts through literature. Learning language arts through literature. Nope, let me go to my left. Do this the right way. Okay, right source. This is right source for my 5-year-old. I keep wanting to say she's 6. Okay, I'm starting with 5-year-old because hers is on top. But let me slide that over here and I'll get back to it. This is what we started with. We are finished. Somebody has asked, many people have asked, what were we using for language arts? And I've just been showing the corners. But this is what we use for the 6-year-olds. This is the Texas edition. I do have just the general right source edition. And I'll show you that in just a minute. writing and grammar. That's what our focus was this year with them, because they have learned how to read. We've gotten past the sentences thanks to their reading. So now they are into story prompts and writing paragraphs and editing and proofreading and things like that. And that also lends itself to their spelling program. So all these things kind of work hand in hand. But like I said, we are finished. When we started the book early this year, I knew that we would finish. And because I already had, we would finish kind of, midway. I already had learning language arts through literature. So that is where we are now. We started it. We did them together. It is top heavy. And I'll get back into that in just a minute. So we held off, finished this, and moved on to the other one. So here is the source book. Here's the skills book. And the only portion that the 6-year-olds use now is the daily language workouts. And I use this as a review. So, give you an example. Let's see, this is reproducible by law. So what I do is I will go through, this is something, just my copies, but I will go through and give them one of these, and they just basically have to do what the question says. Okay, so it's just working on punctuation, grammar, and things like that. Okay, so this is what they are using currently. It's not a whole lot. This is one sentence a day basically, or if they want to do all 5, in one day, that's fine. Here is the regular edition, and because this all came together, that's the reason why I have 2. Guys know I go to eBay for deals, and this is how this all came. So regular edition, same thing, your skills book. Alright, so this is the regular edition, not the Texas edition, but this is the first grade edition. So she has her little skills book, and there we go. My 3-year-old will also use this, so the workbook has been reproduced. That's how I use it, so that I can continue to use it with the little one. And I'm not sure I'll let her write in it either, but this is my choice for grammar, language arts, mechanics, and it's a nice complement from here. Alright, learning language arts through literature. I see a lot of people that have used this program. Some love it. It is, I think there was one more that I also considered. My kids are very literature heavy. They love literature. They love reading that makes sense. And I had to look really into this for a while. And high order thinking skills. Yes. So awesome, awesome program if it is used the way it was designed. Now, what I can say is it is very, 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 very teacher intensive. So, it's done with a Charlotte Mason feel, but it's very teacher intensive. I would not look at this and choose this book. There's very, I wouldn't even say handwriting. It's not even, there's one sentence that has nothing to do with that. There's phonics. There's some reading. There's some grammar. There's vocabulary. High order thinking skills, kind of. There's some biblical reference in here. But the way this book is done, it has neat components to it that make this kind of unique. And as you see, it's one of Kathy Duffy's top 100 picks. Alright, now what this entails, you have a teacher guide, which you need. You have to buy the teacher guide. This curriculum is also very pricey. Okay? And you usually do not find, you may find a teacher's guide, but you're not going to find a student guide. You're going to have to buy those brand new. And they like I said, are pricey. So I use this also with my high schooler. There's, I think, silver, bronze, gold, and it's like British literature and just all sorts of things. But it was a really good program. So for the little ones, yes. The one below this is the blue level, which also deals with basic phonics and things like that. But again, this is very teacher intensive. The books start off as a review of the last book, and then in the middle they kind of flip the script and move on. But they're different colors. There's orange, there's purple, and so on. It also comes with these readers. Okay, there's, you know, a couple different readers, and what happens is teaching phonics, like you would get your phonetic sounds, ow, a, and what happens in these books, you're going to get those sounds. These stories are based on those different sounds, so that's what makes this unique. Like for OU and OW, there's a story about a hound dog. So sound, that's how this program works. It kind of lends itself through this literature. All the stories go along with those particular sounds. There's different things they have to do, but like I said, it's very teacher intensive. So I did not do this and this together. It was just a whole lot. And then trying to help teach 2 more kids how to read. That in itself was too much. So, but right now we're here and we're fine. Alright, and then it also suggests in the book different readers. I think there's about 5 or 6 separate books that you need. We already had the books, which is what made me gravitate towards the curriculum. When I purchase books, I buy them with intent in mind. And so since I had the books, I said, let me go ahead and find something that works along with those books. And it's different, Oxcart Man, I think there's one, Abraham Lincoln, a couple of more books. So yes, there is a lot in addition to the extra books that you have to purchase or check out from the library. Here's a student activity book. Like I said, there is not a lot of handwriting in this book at all, so do not depend on that for handwriting. This is not one of the programs that you would use for that. And I'm just going to flash really quickly what is meant by handwriting. Okay? That's all it is. And then you get this upside down, but there's a sentence there, and they are to copy the sentence. I'm going to turn this book around. So that's all it is. It's not a whole lot. Okay, like I said, I do copy some of these things, but they have their books. A lot of cut and paste activities in here and things like that. Poetry. There's a lot of poetry and memorization and things like that. Again, lends itself to Charlotte Mason. So if your children are that type of learner, then this would be a good fit. Again, it's just very teacher intensive. I know a lot of people that have abandoned it because it's teacher intensive, even though it is quite pricey. Alright, I'm going to move into spelling over here. Alright, we have used Spelling Connections forever. I used it when I was in school. My older kids used it. And so here's my 3-year-old's book. Just goes through basic phonics and formation of letters, which she can do just fine. This book is a lot thinner than the rest of them. Okay, here's my teacher guide for that. This is Texas Edition Grade 1. My 5-year-old is now doing this. Last year I shared this for the twins. they have completed this level, they have moved on to the red edition. Okay, after this is purple. I'm not getting ready to show you purple, but this is our choice. It works. What I like about spelling is this is not a rote program. No spelling tests, and I have a whole deal going on about that. We don't do spelling tests. That is rote memorization, and that's not something that is effective when teaching spelling. You know, you give the child a list on Monday, give them a pre-test, give them a test at the end of the week. They may get 100%. On Monday, the next Monday, they're writing something, and they misspelled half the words that they got right on the spelling test. That's rote. There's one thing I can say. If you look into Zana Blozier, their program is awesome. The kids actually learn, and it has nothing to do with spelling. I've always talked about dictionary, and I'll move into that again in a minute. Here is my resource CD. What is unique this year, we have the there are lots of games. We also used Spelling City in the past. There are lots of games on here. Crossword puzzles, word searches, which my kids love. They're very analytical and logical, so they love it. But that is that. I also have my spelling supports, practice things, and then we get Spanish, so that also helps. Tests. This has nothing to do with spelling tests. Okay, it has more to do with grammar, and not opening the book, but completely different, and it works. Here's my resource book. Let you see what's in there. And here's my teacher's manual for this one. Alright, I'm moving it along. Let me go back to what we introduced this year is very vocabulary. Okay. Dictionary skills. This is very important. Okay. When you have a child and you just teach them spelling, they don't actually necessarily retain it. But when you give them the dictionary and let them actually look the words up, write them down, learn what they mean, because a lot of times words have more than one meaning, it actually sticks. So this is just a little program. It's actually designed for non-English speakers, but it works for anybody. Different grade levels. Okay, it has picture cards and things like that, and I'm just going to show you kind of what's in the book. Oops, you get a word bank, and you get a word. They write the word, they draw a picture, and they use it in a sentence. Now, you don't have to have this to do this. You can just give them words that they don't know and let them do it that way. But I suggest doing that along with spelling. It's much more effective than just giving them a spelling test. Alright, let me see where I want to go with this. I'm trying to get going. Alright, answers in Genesis I have shared. We have been using answers in Genesis for ages. I don't have my binder on the table, but that's what I shared years back. We are going through the world of animals. This also covers for my high schooler. Answers in Genesis. We have all the way up to, you get chemistry and physics and things like that. I only have one set down here because it's already a lot on the table. But if you watch the video with the animal charades, I did flash the book. That's what this is. My teacher supplement, there's also a disc in here for all of the reproducibles that you need in tests and things like that. So also it is designed for all 3 grade levels, and that's what I like about this book. Really quickly, elementary portion, middle school portion, high school portion. So this can be used by the whole family. Okay, So one curriculum for everybody. It works for me. I don't have to have separate books. And that's what this last little batch is. It's basically for everybody with the exception of math. Alright, I introduced a while back for our geography, Galloping the Globe. We are still using this as a virtual co-op. We are also cantering the country. Same deal. Get your CD in there. And then, oops, for, let's see where I want to go with this. Bible, again, Answers in Genesis, we use for Sabbath school. We do a lot of other different things for Bible. Sabbath school, basically, we are using Answers. I shared on Instagram earlier this year because there's a whole new edition. This is an older edition. It's still valid. You can still use it. But they have kind of condensed it. So we're switching over to the new edition. But what I want to say about this is this is meant for a Sunday school setting, but this also can be used for homeschooling. And what happens is, I remember going to church, going to children's church, getting my little, learning the lesson, getting my little, handouts and things, coming back and then, telling my mom what we learned. This right here, this is designed for the entire family to be learning the same basic memory verses, the same lesson all around at the same time. That's what makes this unique. If you do a individual Bible study in your home and you want to include the children, sometimes what you learn may be something different from what the kids learn. It's a little bit different. This covers everybody, so we're all on the same page. There's no guesswork. They had the pre-order kit. It's graded out from pre-K through adult. And the entire kit is about $200. Well worth it. Check it out. So here's this Bible curriculum. And I really want to, I don't know if I can, but it's just to see them actually get things. It's amazing to be able to share this lesson, one of these lessons. It's just awesome to see them just gravitate. I also shared earlier this year the Answers in Genesis. What am I saying? Creation. It was the other one. I might have to put a picture up or something. And we also do the apologetics. Okay, and we still do apologetics. And it's a whole. This is not just books. There's also a whole curriculum designed with this, comprehension questions and everything. This is 6 books in this little set. So, all right, let me wind it down, Let me go back to this really quickly over here. Give me a few more minutes, y'all. So here's what I've broken down. There's actually nothing in that kit, but I keep the posters in there because it keeps them nice. It comes with all kind of posters and stuff, but the stuff is in my binder. You get all of your teacher's guides. You get your lessons, your lesson overview, your themes. It tells you what to do. You get your activities. It tells you what to print out because there's a CD in there. It explains things very well. It's very little prep work, but again, meant to be, a once a week thing. And you stretch it out because over the week you're going to go over your memory verse several times. You're going to go over the concepts and things like that. Study guide. So, but I will share that in a whole nother video. Excuse me. All right, lastly, really quickly, math. Okay. Where is my math book? Okay. You all know for the longest we have been using Texas Math. I only have one of these. This is a first grade book. And that was it. The twins completed first grade on the CD-ROM. We had the ebook. My 5-year-old is using the first grade book. However, she is a lefty, and teaching writing with her is, I have one other lefty. She taught herself how to write. My lefty, what she is needing help with is writing. Okay, and then I have two that are very like in the language arts and reading. They love literature, and so when I checked out, spent some time researching math, this one stuck out because it is Charlotte Mason Field, and I know a lot of you all have seen this, and so that's what made me kind of go towards math lessons for them. Also the fact that now, as far as math and concepts, I know these books are not grade leveled. This says level 1, but not necessarily for a first grader. Would I have chosen this over this? No. The concepts in the book, in my opinion, are too basic, too low of a grade level. And I've seen a lot of people say that. This book starts out very, very slow. It's only shapes, drawing shapes and things like that. And although the stories are really good and they do go along with it, the 3 and the 5-year-old are already doing basic addition and subtraction. And they have been for a while. This book does not get into that until maybe 2/3 of the way into it. Okay? And so it's a slow pace. But I know a lot of people do enjoy it. If I had a choice, I would have, and I'm going to, this is a whole separate video. My 3-year-old can do this. Okay, that's all. My 3-year-old can do this. Okay. So that kind of tells you that, yeah, I would not have. Am I going to use this for the next grade level? No. There are some things that I did not like. Things that go against our beliefs, our faith principles in that book. And that usually happens in the next level. They usually, in pretty much any curriculum, the lower level is fine, but the next grade level, you notice different things. Kind of change up the basis and sneak things in, and if you're not careful, you get kind of misinformation. You know, for some people that may be fine, but I don't like to teach them misinformation. I teach them the truth, and that happens a lot in history. You see in, you know, 2nd grade, 3rd grade, 4th grade, that information changes, and I didn't want that. So, but I would, you know, possibly I would go from this one to the next grade level. But again, the only reason why I purchased this book is for the handwriting aspect. This book solidifies the skills. They're taught very, it's a mastery approach. We love it. However, it's just a fill in the answer. You know, you learn manipulatives, all that type of thing, and then fill in the answer. She needs help with writing. This book constantly reviews them on writing the numbers, and that's the more of the reason why I chose this book. It has nothing to do with the skills being taught, because like I said, it doesn't go into the addition and subtraction until 2/3 of the way through the book. So basically the beginning of the book is skill wise, it's kind of useless for them. Even, you know, even the 3-year-old, because the 3-year-old is doing the basic math. So the stories in the book, you know, they are good stories to kind of introduce the concepts and things like that. That's the reason why they like it, and that, you know, it engages them. But again, they were doing fine with the math without the stories is the handwriting. So if you're looking for, something as far as how this is actually working, that's not what it's not. It's not our choice of math, in the sense of, is it helping my 5-year-old, math-wise. It was purchased solely because they liked the stories and because I needed help with her handwriting. And for the twins, something that had been on my list for years. It had been on the top of my list, and I had waited because we started with our Texas math. We finished it. I did not have any more, and if you guys know, these books were thrifted, and so they didn't cost that much. The thing is, like this one, I only had one. I didn't have anything above this. I didn't have second grade. It's very difficult to find the set without going through. I have to tap into other resources. I can get them. I just could not get them as soon as I wanted, and I had already had this on my list. They came out with a new edition. This is second edition, and I waited rather than going with the first grade edition or the kindergarten edition, because we already had this, and I only paid 10 cents. So of course I'm going to use what I have. Awesome. This right here, I'm not going to open a book, but I've been sharing clips. Every other program that I've seen, Matthew C., Abeka, Horizons, Teaching's Textbooks, what is that other one, Saxon, all rolled into one. Awesome, awesome, awesome. I did share, this is what I purchased. I did share a clip. They rolled out on September 11th. I shared a clip of the purchase. So here's one of them. The teacher's edition, you can purchase for $90 or you can download. I didn't show that portion, but I did purchase and download the ebook form. You do need a teacher's edition. We are going to stick with purposeful design all the way up. Middle school, Answers in Genesis also has a math curriculum, and that is what we will go with. But this is life. It's life. We are ahead of the scope and sequence, but we were having difficulties, and I wouldn't really say difficulties, but with one of the kids, and yes, no more problems, no more struggles, no more I don't understand anything. Another clip I will share, the opening, the unboxing, and their reaction to this and all that good stuff. But they were from the jump. We love it. What else do I want to say? Biblical approach. If you are familiar with purposeful design, go, if you're not, go check them out. But awesome. Awesome, awesome. And I have not seen anybody talk about it. Yes, I am going to do a review on this later on. Now, coming from this to this, we finished, and it wasn't this book, it was the ebook, but they finished the book. We kind of held off some things. They were doing addition and subtracting, and addition and subtraction, and I stretched it out towards throughout this summer. We did some review and things like that to bridge the gap. The smoothest transition ever. I'm so glad I held off, because I did not want them to lose what they learned from here while we were waiting on this. But smooth. There was no problem going from that to this. And so what I looked at from here to here, we're not going to have any problem because we're still using this right here. So this book will actually be finished in, we are in October. This book will be finished early January at the pace we're going. There are 12 chapters in this book for this grade level. And yes, it is intense, but they go through this book like water. It just, they grasp it, they get it, and I'm not going to stop them. There's no point. They're just about into multiplication, which I didn't imagine that they would get that far this quickly. So what's going to happen is the next time I order I'm going to get the first grade second edition to replace these two, and then I'll get 2 of the third grade. So again, I have not purchased anything new. This was the only change, the only big change. So leave me your comments. I know this was kind of lengthy, but there is a lot of stuff laid out here on this table. And again, I am not getting ready to open all these books. I've been sharing the clips. Leave me your comments if you want reviews on these things. Like I said, I've already had a lot of questions on this because I've been flashing pages here on Instagram and such, and here. So I'm going to get into these two sometime soon. I will get into the room tour now that I've got this done, kind of break down the room and show you what I've done with the room. Hopefully this was helpful. Again, I know it was a lot, but if you understood, a lot of this is group work. It looks like a lot, but a lot of it is group work. The only thing they do independently is math, spelling, language arts, and reading, because everybody's on different level reading, but everybody can read, so I don't have to sit and give out lessons. Everything else is basically group work. So we kind of work through it through the day. We go through we don't do everything in one day. Okay, whole other video. We don't do everything on one day. We focus on one thing. We do math every day. Everybody does math, but we break down by subject and just kind of loop around things throughout the week. We loop around. That's how we get through all of this. So let me know if you all have videos, you know, on what you're using. I'm still always looking for things and for ideas and things like that, and you know, referrals for other people. But hopefully this was helpful, and I will talk to you all in the comments.